Hola everyone, welcome to Flexibility Script. This video is going to be going into an exercise to help strengthen the hips and glutes that's commonly done in the exercise world. I was going to say in the physical therapy setting, it's often prescribed, but really everywhere. It tends to always be a classic staple. It's really easy to do because all you need is your body weight. You can always add an external load, like adding a dumbbell to your hips, and there's a lot of different variations. So the variation I'm covering is kind of the basic one. It's called a glute bridge, and you're pretty much just lifting your hips up to reach full extension while squeezing the glutes to do the lifting. In some cases, a bridge is known as like this back bend position, where you're creating this arch effect. Your whole spine is going into extension. And some bridges are done with that mentality that's kind of prepping you for that full extension. The bridge I'm covering today is not that type of bridge. It's more covering the hip strength and maintaining core stability, meaning that when you lift your hip up, that you're really resisting the urge of making your lower back arch in order to do the lifting. That you're really trying to keep the spine nice and stable and let the hips have all the mobility to take you up into extension, as opposed to your lower back specifically arching up. A little bit of thoracic spine too. So just to cover it, you're going to be going into laying on your back, and when you lay on your back, your heels are going to be positioned nice and close to the bottom. If it's hard to lift up in this position, you can always have the legs a little further away from you too. I'll say the further away they are, the less hamstring engagement you have, or posterior chain engagement you have. So if you feel like your hamstrings are really cramping up, you can always have the legs slide out a little further. So to do the motion, you're always going to be thinking about what you're asking your hips to do, which is to think squeeze the glutes, and you can squeeze them right from the beginning. That I'm laying down, I'm going to think squeeze, and then that squeeze is going to be the thing that helps lift them up. And I'll do that, but I'll keep my head down. So again, I'll think squeeze the glutes, and let that glute squeeze be the thing that leads the way up, and then controlling it right back down. Every time I squeeze and I lift up, my goal is to lift my hip as high as it can to form a straight line from knee to shoulder. So knee, hip, and shoulder all line up at the top. I pause and I lower back down. And if I always think about that glute squeeze being the thing that leads the way up, it usually guarantees that I keep good solid form all throughout. There's this tendency at times that you'll think about lifting your hip up, but it's as your hip lifts up, you'll kind of be arching your rib cage up. And when that happens, and as you keep doing repetitions where you're doing it where you're really thinking, well, my hips are lifting, and I can feel a glute squeeze, you will feel a much stronger glute squeeze if you can fix what's happening at the rib cage. So when I lift up, if I find myself in that position, as soon as I keep squeezing the glutes, as soon as I fix that rib cage down and line myself up, you'll feel an even stronger squeeze of the glutes, and you'll be able to feel what it is you're asking of your hip. Usually, if I keep lifting up over time, even though I am squeezing the glutes, you'll feel more of your back, lower back doing the work, as opposed to your hips doing the work. So the other thing that can be helpful is if you keep your hands on your rib cage and think again, squeeze the glutes and lift up. And if for some reason you find yourself broken, you can put a little pressure on that rib cage and help put that rib cage down, so that you have that great nice alignment, and that everything is being brought up because the hips are doing the work to lift you up into extension, as opposed to the lower back trying to lift you up into full hip extension. So again, rib cage down, squeeze the glutes, and let the glutes be the thing that leads the way up, and then controlling it back down. So there's an exercise that you can do, that if for some reason you're doing it and for some reason you're getting your form right, but you still are feeling like the lower back is trying to do a little bit more of the work, and instead of you really feeling the glutes and feeling what the hips are supposed to be doing, that you're feeling the back, there's a way to change it up so that you can get that hip, those glutes to fire. It's called a Cook's Bridge, and it's pretty much a single leg bridge. As soon as you do this exercise, it kind of prevents you from having your rib cage flare up. and it kind of forces you to use the hip in order to lift up. Even if there's not as much range of motion in your hip extension, you'll feel that the hip is the thing, the glutes are the thing that's going to be doing the work to lift you up. So to do this exercise, you lay on your back and you're going to be hugging one knee in towards you. You can grab behind the thigh or around your shin bone here, and you're hugging it in as you lift up. So that hugging in automatically helps your lower back not go into this arching motion. It kind of puts you automatically into some flexion, allowing the hip to be the thing that does the work to lift you up. So if I demonstrate with the leg closer to the camera, on the ground I can grab a hold behind, again here or here, and then from here again I'm thinking about using my hip to lift up and then right back down. And as soon as I keep hugging as I lift up, it automatically prevents my rib cage from being the thing that that leads the way. It kind of forces the hip to be doing the work to lift, and then right back down. Again, hug, lift up, right back down. I can hug it in a little bit more and make it a little bit more secure to make sure that my glutes are the things that are leading the way up and not my back. In terms of that up position, it's really nice to at least hold it and create some tension there for about 2 seconds before you lower it back down. And so as soon as you end that full hip extension, really focus on squeezing the glutes. And a cue I always love is just pretend you're trying to squeeze $100 bill between your cheeks, and keep that squeeze, keep the $100 bill between your cheeks at the top of that full hip extension to make sure you're really engaging. And that should do the trick. So give it a try. Hope it helps.